You are listening to the BowHunterPlanet podcast, Season 6. The podcast is supported by Scent Crusher, Scent Off, Game On, Tinks, Cat Work Truck, Victory Archery, Thorn Broadheads, Shadow Hunter Blinds, Cobra Archery, Burris, HHA Sports and HHA USA, Reveal Cellular Cameras, and Deer Camp Coffee. Enjoy the show. Hey guys, welcome to the BowHunterPlanet podcast. Myself, Dave Thomas, tonight with Jay Dumas. Actually, taking over for Tim, it looks like. No, I'm just kidding, but Tim's here too. we got a little lucky. We got Jay on tonight, which is fun, and gives us another BHP person to hit those questions hard. Hit Lundy with these amazing questions that he's going to get tonight. Sean Lundy from the Drurys, welcome to the show, my friend. We are super excited to have you on, and you're all the people from your team we've been having on, and it's really exciting to hear a lot of these stories because it's something that we don't really experience very often here in Michigan. So really excited tonight to talk to you about that and the different stories you guys have. And so I guess let's start with how's it going? Tell us about you real quick, I guess. So how long you been on the show and all that good stuff?
Doing good. I mean, we've been trying to do this for the last few months now, but I've been on Drurys several years now, and I may be off on a year or so, like 4 or 5 years. I was originally just brought on just for, I believe, some extra footage, whatever the case may be. And then when Dream Season, they still have Dream Season live, but Critical Mass came out, and it kind of took over on the Outdoor Channel, the new Dream Season show. And Matt went ahead and mentioned something to me when I was already about halfway through my season. You want to be a cast member on that, and it was a no-brainer. Sign me up. Here we go. So it's been an awesome ride ever since.
That's really cool. Sorry, Tim looked like he was going to say something. I had just paused. I saw him go.
I'm just messing with you tonight now. That's all.
All right, I just wasn't sure. I didn't want to cut you off. I was trying to play good co-host. But so I guess you and I talked a little bit earlier before we started. I guess first before we go here with this. It is a snow day here. It's snowing crazy at your house and in our house here in Indiana and in Michigan. And Jay was saying earlier, it's going to be a snowcast tonight for the podcast, which is pretty exciting. We're snowed in anyway, so we can do all this cool conversation about hunting. So we're talking about the different shows the Drurys have and how they actually have different, I don't want to say rules, but like, so, Greg was saying, with Bow Madness, it was basically all compound type show. And I believe you said with Critical Mass, you guys could do kind of a variety of things. It didn't really necessarily matter. I guess tell us about that. Is there any like infighting? Like, I want to be on that show or I want to be on this show because of that or anything?
I don't see that as much. Maybe there's some guys, like, to me, it would be an honor to be on Bow Madness. I mean, those guys are animals in a good way. I mean, they're out there, they're getting it done with stick and string, but I don't necessarily think there's any, hardship between on who's wanting to be on what show. It's me personally, you have 13, which is the big Drury show. And then under that, you've got the Bow Madness Critical Mass Outdoor Channel. And then you have Winchester's Drury's Natural Born, which is on the Sportsman's Channel. I would love to be on Bow Madness one day, but here's the other takeaway. I don't care if it's a bow, a slingshot, a spitball gun. If I can harvest a deer with it, I'm doing it. So I've got to stick probably with the Critical Mass and the Natural Born because, it's just, I mean, those guys from early season to late season, straight through the firearm season, they're hunting with, they got the Matthews in hand. So they're limited to that, which, hey, I mean, that's what they're into. That's fine. There's many times I've been down to different states and, I've already bought a tag that when I wasn't successful early season. Well, now we're getting into the firearm season. Well, you guys all know me and my wife, we got family, kids. It's like, even though it's the firearm season, the wife's probably going to get on me if I spend another few $100 on the firearm tag. So yeah, I'm wearing the Hunter Orange and I'm still out there with the bow trying to get it done. But if it's just something that's strictly firearms, I'm going for it. I'm going to grab the Winchester or the traditions, and we're going to get it done. So,
yeah, no, I hear you, man. I feel that way a lot when we go hunting. Those days where I'm just like, grabbing the crossbow today, or I just just however I'm feeling. Like sometimes I'm like, you know what, I'm not feeling it, and I feel sore or whatever. I'm just like, I'll just grab the crossbow, and people think that means you're automatically killing a deer, which it is not. But
no.
just grab whatever I feel comfortable with at that moment, and I think it also depends on what type of hunting you're doing. If you're doing a lot of ground blind or whatever you're doing, it might be easier in one of those like a doghouse type blind where it doesn't have much room. You're not gonna. I'll never forget. I was hunting with Brian Bauer on one of our shows, and we were sitting in a ground blind, and it was turkey hunting, and he went to shoot with the compound, and the top cam hit one of those bars and broke it. At the top, so once he fired, the whole thing collapsed on us.
Oh, jeez.
Like, we didn't even know if he hit it. We didn't even know if he hit it because we were filming, and all of a sudden, this whole thing just came over the camera.
That's such
a Brian
shot,
story.
Man.
Yeah, that's such a Bauer story. I tell you, this guy, he's got them all. I just ran into him at Home Depot a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me some crazy story. I'm like, every time I talk to you, you have these crazy stories, man, about the unbelievable happening out in the woods. It's just
yeah. He'll be the type of guy that like he'll hit it in the butt, hit an artery, and it'll go down like in 10 yards. It's the stupidest stuff. It really is. And he's not trying to do that, by the way. He is trying to actually get a kill shot on the heart, but he hits it in the butt, hits an artery, and then it goes down 10 yards later. It's the most ridiculous stuff ever. But
temple, you hit one in the temple.
Yeah, we thought it was a tree, but it wasn't. Looking at the video, no, it was square in the side of the head, and we found that thing too. I remember that one.
He should work for Muzzy.
Yeah, no kidding.
Show what he can do.
Definitely a fixed blade guy. Let's just say that. So did you approach your hunts differently depending on your weapon of choice?
Yeah, I'm kind of limited on the ground I hunt. Yeah, if I'm going to be going to a certain place or a certain state, I try to also work in a normal job and stuff like that and get the hunt. I will try to, go in with the best chance possible. If I can get down to places like Oklahoma, pretty target-rich environment, I'll always try to definitely target, an archery kill to get one done. But if I can go and get down there during the firearm season too, it's your chances are higher. Now, a good buddy of mine back from Long Island, that's originally where I'm from. He's got a place out in Kansas that's Leets that we hunt together. He's ate up with archery hunting. That's it, So yeah. When I get an opportunity like that, I'm restricted. Yeah, it's just the Matthews. We're going out there getting it done. But, there's a lot of time, like if we're going into youth season, my son Cole, he's turning into an absolute just machine. I mean, he loves, and not just on a hunting level, but just the passion for the whole outdoors. Has nothing to do with killing. And he's the same person. He's went out. He's actually killed that deer behind me, 153 inches. He killed that like 4 years ago. And the following year, he goes out and he targets a certain buck, and it was like 116, 117 inch deer. But it's not about the inches to him, which I'm glad, So when we go into like youth season, he can hunt with the bow, he can hunt with the crossbow. But we try to go in, hey, this is an opportunity for the children to get in there. We can get a kill under our belt. It's different filming a little bit because, some people say, well, filming must suck. It takes the fun out of the hunt. I look at it like, if that's the case, then you're not doing something right. You're taking that fun out of the hunt because, granted, okay, my son would rather do everything with a bow now. That's how he is. But he gets it. Hey, Dad, if we go out there and we got this target buck coming in, so he grabs the Winchester, and like this year, I mean, I know you guys were just saying, just because you got a firearm or crossbow, people think it's a guarantee. We hunted the 3-day youth season down here with the Winchester. We didn't get it done. My son ended up killing his Indiana deer 4 or 5 weeks later during the gun season. But absolutely, I will definitely go in and approach different situations different on, as far as what weapon we're going to use. So.
What about states? Like where do you do most of your hunting at? I'm assuming a lot in Indiana, but do you do other states too with the show, or how's that work?
Yeah, it's I've definitely been blessed to hunt a lot of different states. In Indiana here, a lot of guys, they think, just because you're hunting with Drurys or you're hunting with one of these other big shows and stuff that, okay, these guys own thousands of acres. Well, we're at right now, we're sitting on a little more than 5 acres. So then I've got two little leases by my house. One's a 32 acre field where that deer was killed. It's with a 3 acre patch of woods in it. It's just an old pasture field. And then I have another piece that's 17 acres. That's it for Indiana. Now, in Southern Illinois, and those are leases in Southern Illinois, me and my wife own a 40 acre tract of timber. And then we have another little 20 acre tract that we put a little, like an Amish made cabin on it and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. We go down there for spring break and everything. But as far as places that I own, that's it. Now, I have a place that I lease with a friend in Nebraska. I go down to Oklahoma. This year, I've got a friend of mine that has a business over in Kentucky. So I do travel a lot. My one buddy from New York, an old stomping ground, has a unbelievable place in Kansas. So yeah, I definitely traveled. This year alone, it was Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Kansas, Nebraska, Indiana.
Wow.
Illinois. I know I'm leaving a few states out, so, but
so that is, I mean, way more than I think we could ever dream to do in a lifetime, let alone a single year. So that's absolutely awesome. If you had to choose your property type, so like open field or deep woods, that kind of thing, what do you prefer to hunt?
I don't want to literally come off as somebody that's just big. I have actually changed the way I'm hunting since I've got on Drurys. And a lot of that is from being around, some of the big guys on the team. You talk about, you guys just had Greg Lessinger on the show, and we would go with these meetings and talk to people like Greg, Mark, Terry, Wade, Ware back in the day, all these big time, a lot of guys, Bo Manis guys. I learned a lot. Even though I didn't have the big properties, I learned food plots, how to set up food plots different, and how to strategically put them. Back in the day, and even around here when I was just hunting, you got up on the edge of a bean field or a cornfield. You had to find a food source. Maybe I would back up a little bit, get back in the timber for those deer that are staging up. But now I kind of changed. In November, I usually head down to Illinois and try to hunt the rut. And in the mornings and stuff, I am sticking more into the timber because a lot of them bucks are coming back from feeding. They're checking the bedding. They're cruising for those does. But the majority of the year after that, I will hunt small, not necessarily staging area food plots, but small places that I've set up biologic that may be 100 yards or 150 yards off big feeding destination fields. So I guess I don't know. I'd probably go like a 60-40 mix, being probably 60% cover, 40%, transition area or food, whatever the case may be. But I grew up in New York back in the day. It was 100% timber. It was hunting state land. And, and when you came home and, we would take out of school, we'd be sick or whatever. I hate to say this, every year we would have this is really horrible saying this, and you guys laugh, but every year growing up, I was ate up with hunting. We had a funeral. We had somebody in our family that passed away. Nobody passed away, so Dad would take us out for a family. We had during Thanksgiving week, so we can all go up and miss 1 week of school up to the mountains. And if we came back and, the only way you can get out of school during Thanksgiving week, you got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, but to get that Monday and Tuesday off, we've got a family funeral. So we would go up to the Catskills or the Adirondack Mountains. And if we came back and we seen 3 tails, we would tell people, oh yeah, man, we've seen deer, and not that I'm giving it up. Like New York is getting better. The quality deer management all over the United States has changed. I've said this on other shows before. It's, people may get upset, but like giving up a secret, like Long Island, New York, they're killing slammers out there, legit slammers every single year.
You said Long Island?
Long Island. Slammers.
City deer, huh?
Straight.
Cow.
No, see, everyone think like Long Island is kind of, if you actually get out on Long Island, you got upstate New York, and you come down, you have the city, the 5 boroughs, and then when you go out from that, you go out onto the island, the Long Island, which is, it's an island, but we're talking it's a huge island. It'll take you 3 hours to drive to the other end.
I hear it's pretty long.
Yeah, so out on the other end, there's cornfield, bean fields, the whole 9 yards.
No way. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody that I don't think has been there like me, obviously.
Yeah.
You don't picture that close to like,
I was thinking,
New York, like you shoot deer in Long Island. I would never have even thought that.
It's also the thought that when you think of New York, like when I think of New York, I always think of the city. Like I never would even imagine there's an upstate New York or a northern New York where there's woods and forests. Like I don't even see that in my mind. Like all I see is
that's where
city,
they confuse you.
Sex in the City, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, what state names their biggest city after themselves? Only New York.
Right? Yeah. There you go.
Hey, let me ask you this though. Let me ask you this though. So when you hunt these other places, you're talking about hunting these places that you were all over. You're Oklahoma, Nebraska, things like that. If you're anything like us, right? Because I know that you guys have hunted out of state and you venture around. Even parts of the state are different, right? Here in Michigan. But is there something special for you about going back home and hunting that timber back where you started with all those memories, right? You still do that? Do you still earn to do that, or?
Yeah, I don't hunt back in New York as much anymore. And I've always said I wanted to take my son, and he's been back there, and we're going to go back again just to realize how blessed he is to hunt Indiana.
Yeah.
He has no idea that the way that people hunt in New York, people are like, oh, these guys, they're not killing big deer. When they harvest a deer there, you've done something. Yes. I mean, you truly have done something. You have done your homework. They are hunting deer and they're killing slammers, and they are not in target-rich environments. They are not, having the opportunity to pass up 3 or 4-year-olds a night. They don't have those opportunities. So when they get it, I mean, they've really done something. But just Indiana kind of being, I've been over here 20, maybe a little more than 20 years now, being our home core now. I think me and my son, we submitted 5 or 6 harvests this year on film. The best ones were the smallest deer we harvested. They were right here in Indiana. To get it right done, to come back, get it right here on a 30-acre lease that has 3 acres of timber. My son filmed. What happened is because I don't ever hunt Indiana. This is the first buck I've killed in Indiana this year in, 10 plus years. And it's because I'm always behind the camera with the kids, filming them kill a turkey. So I don't really get to hunt Indiana much until they're done. And that's fine with me. I get that. I love it. I'm ate up with it. And then this year we had and you guys will see it on Critical Mass. There's a great buck coming down a fence row. He's in between the 2 pasture fields. This field broke up into 15 acres each. And there's just kind of like a little center lane where they run the cattle to put them out. So basically he's running down there because he's running a straight line coming all the way down. And we get all jacked up. My son's in the blind. He gets the Winchester ready. So he makes a perfect shot, smokes this deer, and we're on cloud 9. We get down to it. Beautiful deer for him. Big, wide, short time, but just wide, 4x4. And when he's done, I'll never forget, we're all sitting there. And he's like, hey, Dad, now it's your turn. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, this is mid-November. And he's punched the tag. Like, I got a chance in Indiana now, So we went back. It's so crazy. And I might be off for a day or two, 6 or 7 days after that. He's behind the camera now. Great deer comes out, walks right down. And I'm telling you, I stopped him. It had to be either in the same tracks or within an inch of where he harvested his. Both of these kills are going to look almost identical. And they are by far the smallest deer we've harvested on film this year, but by far the hunts that we're excited about right there.
That's pretty cool.
Well, I can tell that. I mean, the passion that you have to hunt with your son, I mean, you can just feel that in your voice. And that, that's something that we're all passionate about. Every single one of us on this call with kids. I love getting my kids out. I love seeing that excitement on their face. I love that they love to go out and learn that type of stuff. So, I mean, I feel you on that one, man. I don't care what size of deer it is. If we're putting it down as a family, that's the most important thing.
It gives you that's the one thing that people have no idea. You blessed was like, and okay, my son filmed me. That's beyond emotional to see that happen. But when you get out there and I see my son film his sisters, my daughters, and even at times when they both say, hey, listen, today we don't want to take the camera, you know, not usually for deer, but for turkey. And I'm like, I get it. Okay. To go out there and to see my son just get my daughter ready on the shotgun, get her up, get her ready. You know, the bird's coming in. He's telling me, Dad, you just do the calling. You just do the calling. I got this. You know, and he's got her already. And like, you know, it's like we can talk about those hunts, and it's not just sitting at the table where, you know, they have that meme where some guy, he's like sitting by himself on a park bench and he talks about being somewhere talking about hunting and no one else gets it, you know? Well, when you're at the dinner table, the whole family gets it. We all share that experience, and it's just, you can't buy that. You can't put a price on that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Those are proud papa moments right there. That's for sure, dude. Absolutely. So this year, so last year, it looks like you have some success. What do you have planned for this year? What's coming up?
Oh my gosh. And every year about this time, between now and probably halfway through turkey season, yeah, I always have a game plan going into next year. And that game plan never goes like, okay, we have Indiana and we have Illinois. You know, we live in Indiana. We own ground in Illinois. The wife's always like, hey, listen, you know, we're paying this mortgage on our little Illinois farm. You're going to hunt the dang thing. You know, I mean, I get it, you know.
So locally sourced meat, of course.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm still going to, you know, be hunting Nebraska, Wisconsin. It's another buddy of mine that got a place up in Wisconsin. So I'm going to hunt Nebraska, Wisconsin. Next year, Kentucky, Oklahoma. But like, I've always had it. Every year it changes. Like, and it's phone calls, you know, July and August. All right, listen, we're going to change it up. I'm going to go ahead because, all right, I'm going to head now to, you know, I think next year I might change it up. I'm going to go to Kansas and Oklahoma. They're 3 hours apart. I'll probably do that last week of October, first week of November. And I've always been the first two weeks of November in Illinois. And why am I going down there the first 2 weeks in November? It's kind of tradition. It's November. It's family farm. Let's go hunt. But now trying to get it done and trying to lay things down on film, you know, I mean, I'm pretty blessed to kill a few deer on film, but you get ate up. We're competitive people by nature, you know? So now it's like, how can I better my season every year? How can I do this? So I want to spend more time home with the kids. So I think for next year, instead of going the last week of October, which is usually Nebraska, I'm going to go ahead last week of October, first week of November. It's prime time. I'm going to be in Oklahoma and Kansas. And then from there, I'm going to get back and be spending prime time right here in Indiana at home with the kids during opening week of gun season, you know, having a deer camp, you know, just doing what we got to do. And then after Thanksgiving, usually when I kick it in high string during late season, I think that's when I'll probably go to, you know, Illinois. And then I thought about switching up Nebraska, which has always been a bow state for me. I'm thought about doing late muzzleloader in December. It's because their December muzzleloader, it's a month long, you know, and a friend of mine, Lowell, that I'm down there on a lease with, I mean, it's a lot of your big deer. I mean, Nebraska has big body deer. I'm not going to say it's a sleeper state because everybody knows Nebraska has big deer, but you don't hear people talk about it much, you know?
No, you don't. Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, it's Iowa, Ohio, you know, Kentucky now, Illinois. Nebraska's got some big deer. So if you can pattern them late season and you got a tradition in hand and you can reach out, you know, that, you know, everybody, these guys on Bow Madness, they'll shoot 50, 60 yards. My 50, 60 yards, I like to keep that firearm range. My bow shots, I like anywhere between 10 and 17 yards, you know? So
sounds like Midwest to me.
But,
it does.
That's funny. Tell us a little bit about your bow setup. Obviously, you're shooting a Matthews here on your Instagram. I was looking through some of the photos, but I guess tell us about your setup. What do you have on there, like for your sight, your bow, or your rest, your you know, arrows, things like that?
You know, we're excited. We're going with Victory, and as far as the arrows go, I shoot the VAPs, and when I started shooting the VAPs, being micro diameter and stuff like that, I started shooting them a lot of guys are shooting, they said better penetration, and they are. They're awesome. But the reason why I went to the VAPS was I had a shoulder surgery a couple years back. So I was letting off on my poundage, and I wanted to go ahead and, so them offering that micro diameter arrow, to me, that was a no brainer. And now that the shoulder's back and going good again, there's no way I'm going to switch back from them. So, but I'm shooting a V3. I did have the VXR, which this year, several chips, I switched back to the VXR. They make good bows, and it's they come up with something else, and now they got the new V3 that came out, and so I don't. My son gets on me because it's like, all right, Dad, so he thinks, okay, the VXR is his now, and realistically, it's gonna be, what I'm saying, is he pulls back some more weight, it's gonna be his. But as far as sights go, we're with HHA, and I shoot.
Love HHA.
I go with a single pin. A lot of people say go with a floater, go to everything. Okay. And once again, I keep going back to the Bow Madness guys. And the reason for that is I am not the greatest archery shooter. I am not the greatest archery hunter. Very, maybe fun to watch, people may say, because I kind of lose and I get excited. But, a lot of these guys have multiple pins, and it makes sense, because you don't have to adjust and stuff. But I have probably lost opportunities at deer because I'll have that slider, that single pin, and I'm like, okay, here's 20. Yeah. My bow's shooting fast enough where if he's within 25, 26 yards, I can still use the same pin. If it gets out to 30, I slide it up. So I've missed opportunities on that, but everyone thinks just because, you have the opportunity, you're hunting on TV and you're with one of these big shows that, no, a lot of us, I think that's what makes Drurys so special is it's so many, a group of people, of everyday people out there at different, categories and different abilities. And ability wise, I'm not up there with the Bow Madness guys. And I'll say it, that's how it is. And if you give me 5, 6, 7, 8 pins and I put it on a deer, when I have 5, 6, 8 pins in one section, I'm hitting the release. Like I need something to focus on. I do. So that's why I have to use a single pin. Now my son Cole, I've got him on a single pin, and he is getting so much horror, and it may be a good thing or a bad thing, but he's only hung around with hunters his whole life, And granted, the wife's like, hey, he's got to hang, but now he's starting to meet, which is kind of good, younger kids that he's bringing into hunting, his friends.
That's awesome.
So it is working. But now I got it where he's starting to get rid of peeps. He's starting to get rid of single pins, but he's got like ice, like through his veins. He loses it after he shoots, he loses it. But when he's back at full draw, he's stone cold. Now, Dad, I'm like, I'm a basset case. I have to be one of those people. That's why I do love about hunting the timber. I got to hear the leaves crunching, and I've got to look down and see that deer coming in right away, grab the bow and know it's already set on 20 and shoot them.
Yeah.
Because if I've got a deer coming across the field, everyone's like, oh, Lundy, you got all day to relax. No, this gives me all day to absolutely
think about it.
Basket case. There's no relaxing. By the time he gets here, the game's over, and not for him, it's over for me. So,
So sometimes, so I mean, we there's a lot of does up in Michigan. We see a lot of does and that kind of stuff. So what I like to do early season is I like to practice on the doe.
Absolutely.
Right, get that out of the way. Take my time. Maybe I'm not going to take the shot. Maybe I am if it gives me the perfect shot.
Yeah.
But that first doe that comes out, man, I'm kind of using that to settle the nerves for the rest of the season for sure.
I'll tell you this, one of the best hunters I ever met in my life, who I know is a good friend, Ron Reslow, he told me this one time, and I asked him this question because he used to shoot bucks all the time here, like nice bucks and stuff. And I said to Ron, I said, how do you like do that? Like, like it's like you're not even like, I mean, you hit like good shots, never like bad shots, just solid. And he said, well, I just get really mad. Like I just get mad at the deer. Like I'm just like pissed off. Like that's how and it works. So then after that, you see me just like after the shot, he just like, you can't even talk. I was filming him one time. He's like, I just hit it, because all that adrenaline comes out after. It's so funny. And I use that and it worked. I couldn't believe it. Like, I just got really mad. I just mentally, as soon as I see a deer, I'm like, oh, get out of here.
You're in my territory, man. We're getting you done.
Especially a doe, you know, because they blow at you and stuff. You're like, get out of here. That's it. You're gonna get it.
I've heard several people say that before, though. That you got to get mad. They literally get so mad that it's just
takes away that adrenaline. Yeah, it makes you just focused.
Just put it in their mind, like, we've got to take this deer out. But I don't know.
I've never actually intentionally tried that, but I have gotten mad because I'm trying to sleep and this dumb deer wakes me up. It's like, come on, man. Like, I was having a good nap there in my ground blind with my heater on, and it's BS. It's crap.
I don't know how to get mad at a deer, though. That's I think I would start laughing. Like, for me to get mad at somebody, I could probably do that pretty easy. I could think of someone, doing someone up, but at a deer, how do you get mad at a deer? Do you make pretend he called you a bad name? I'd start laughing. It's a deer. How do you get mad at it?
I just use the whole blow at me reference in my mind because I hate when does blow at me and blow my cover. So I'm just like, oh no, it's gonna, I don't even know how to do it, honestly, but it worked, man. I shot a nice buck a couple years, was it 2020 during COVID? I shot a nice buck on where we hunt, and that thing was coming in for a while, and I saw it and I thought, I remember I never got nervous at all until after. Then I was like, but even then we started getting in this thing where we're having this issue where we'd hit deer, but we'd hit them just a little bit too far back, or just a little bit on a weird angle, or just a little bit where you don't recover them. And we're like, oh my God. So every time we shoot a deer now, we freak out. It's like the curse of this place for hunting. And the last time I shot that deer, I was nervous about getting down and going to look for it, but it was 3:00 I shot it. And I was like, I waited an hour and I'm like, I'm going to go real slow by myself, right? I'm not even going to tell the guys I'm looking. I just want to go real slow and methodical because I don't want to jump it, right? If it's not, but I ended up finding it dead 30 yards. I was like, yes. Finally.
Those are the best.
So what broadhead are you using?
Rage.
Oh, nice.
And what I like about Rage is I'm not trying to give pops, but it is Rage with the Lundys. It makes a bad shot an okay shot. I mean, really, and it makes, an absolute smoke shot. Just, it's game over.
Are you guys allowed to use, because of Faraday owning Muzzy? Rage? Are you allowed to use Muzzy or no?
No, we're with Rage. And it's
just specific.
Every year, that we have the partnerships, and that's the great thing about it. The Drurys has been, a lot of these partnerships have been around forever with us. So, there's certain things. It's as far as being able to use different things, that's at a different pay grade. You know what I'm saying? That's not something we're at. But ever since that I've been with them, and actually as long as I can remember, that they've been with Rage. So
yeah.
Let's be honest, man. When you got companies like that behind you that you're using, it's not like you're going to go wrong. So
no, it's not a problem. I was just curious because when I went with, like I was telling you earlier, when I went with Faraday on that media hunt, we used Rage during the hunts, and I killed 4 animals with it, no problem. They all dropped within 15, 20 yards. Excuse me. And but one of the products they showed me there during this media thing, that's where they, for those who don't know, they sit you down and they kind of show you their future, like things they're going to do. You sign an NDA, you can't talk about it, but they show it to you. Well, they showed me the Muzzy 1, which was a solid head broadhead that was a one-piece machine broadhead, comparable to a Montec from G5.
Yeah.
And so I ended up hunting with it. They gave me a whole bunch of them. They said, hey, if you want to test this out next year, please do. So I ended up killing 2 deer with it, and that buck was one of them, and it was like butter. It just, right through it. And I shot one with a crossbow, and I remember thinking I couldn't ask for a straighter shot. It was just because I have a lighted nock, so I could see the path. It was just 46 yards, hard shot. I actually hit the heart. It was crazy. I was right through the deer, just so that's why I was like, man, let's see. So if you could have used it, I would tell you to just pick up a couple packs of them babies as well.
That kind of brings up another topic too. That's, that's the one thing that I have seen that I don't. But people look at, the hunters, and I do get fed up sometimes with, okay, well, you're Mossy Oak and I'm Realtree, and this is it doesn't make a difference. We all okay, we may be representing different companies, whether you're hunting for TV or you're just, you're a bunch of buddies back home. You're buying that product, you're representing it. And we've got to stop. Like, people will kill. I hear people will kill stuff with a certain type of bow or a crossbow, or they'll use a firearm. And it's like, we've got enough people attacking us out there over the bull crap.
Yeah.
Why the heck are we giving these legislations and stuff and all these other more reasons to take stuff from us? Like, pull your head out of your rear end. Let's all just stop knocking each other. This is what I'm hunting. Cool. Like, I'm a big person. Like, if you harvest a deer at night, I love tracking. And I don't think it's because I like tracking as much. I love the look on the face of either a first-time hunter or a guy that's been hunting for 50, 60 years. When we walk about that, I don't care what you shot it with. I want to get in there, get a picture with you, do whatever. Like, so many people are, well, you hunt it. And we've talked about that before. You can have 1,000 different bows, about 1,000. Sometimes a new product will come out, and at times you're like, I don't know. Even if it's something that we're not sponsored by, but you're going to try, it has nothing to do with the hunting industry. It could be, a new system you're going to put in your vehicle, whatever. You're a little skeptical, whatever. But for the most part, all these other products and companies that have been out there, they've proven themselves. They've been out there. Stop knocking each other over a product, because all you're doing is giving. It's like politics now. We're not going to talk about it after this again. But we're all Americans. Right, left, whatever. You got a choice. Respect the person's dang choice and move on with it. Like, why are we giving people reasons to take this from us?
It's so funny because we on our podcast, right? We have a lot of different guests, all that kind of stuff. Everybody has the same message. We have the same message. Stop knocking each other. We get into the conversation all the time about crossbow versus bow, and it's not because we care. We don't care what you use. And the people that we talk to in the podcast and all that kind of stuff, it's all the same message from the people that are within the industry. But then you get bombarded when you put your stuff out on social media, that those people that start to knock you and all that kind of stuff. And those are in our messaging is the same. And it's exactly what you said. We got to stop doing that to each other, because it's not what it's about. If it's legal, if it's ethical, you should 100%. Be happy that we're continuing the industry. Because if we don't have compound bows, if we don't have new products coming out, if we don't have an industry anymore, right? And that's what everybody wants. That's what everybody needs. So I appreciate you saying that.
Over the past couple of weeks, Tim and I, we've been using TikTok a lot. It seems to be a nice new method to reach young people, and it's working very well. I mean, for the most part. But then you have a lot of people on there, not just there, Instagram as well, but a lot of people are just uneducated on what they're saying on some of these topics, and it's really hard. Number one, just to bite your tongue and not reply to it, even as a company. I want to reply so bad, and I do sometimes. I just can't help it. But like, a lot of things are just, there's a lot of people that want to see us fail. There's a lot of people who want to see hunting go away. There's a lot of people who, really want to destroy the hunting community. They rather you go, buy a cow at the store, even though they kill those the same way, even worse probably than actually harvesting your own animal. But they want to, they want to destroy what we put it's not even us. I mean, it's their heritage too. It's a heritage that we all are even them, like their forefathers were hunters and gatherers. It's just how it was. So anyway, the crossbow thing has been a big issue. And for some reason, I mean, crossbow's been legal now for a while. So I still don't understand why people talk so much smack about crossbows. I'm like, dude, I bought a harvest tag. Like, I paid for a tag that helps sponsor or pay for this state's whatever, I paid for that tag, that right to use any weapon. I don't know why it even matters. Like, what? I'm like, why does it matter what I use to harvest an animal? Why do you care? It sounds like you're competing versus me for the same animal. That's what it sounds like to me. But some of the issues I feel that are real political, and it's really bothering me a lot, is things like new tech. And new tech is going to be what brings us forward in an industry. If we're going to tell companies you can't produce new tech because we won't allow it in our state, that's a very slippery slope that's going to not let us keep going forward. And I'm speaking specifically about the Twin Strike from Excalibur. So New Jersey banned a 2-bolt crossbow because of that bow. That just happened this year. And my point in the story is, listen, why are we jumping to all these fast conclusions that it's a bad thing? Like all of a sudden now, all these hunters are complaining about it. Why? Why do you care? If I can use a crossbow anyways, you act like I'm shooting 6 shots at one time or something. It's two different triggers. So the point is, though, if you're going to let them regulate that, then you're basically saying, like, don't try to do anything new or outside the bow or whatever you want to call it, outside the string. You know, we're just going to sit here and twiddle our thumbs and then they're going to start fighting speed. You watch. Now that these bows are hitting 500 plus, that'll be the next
That's
thing.
been my fear.
Outlawing. They're going to keep going.
No, that's been my fear.
You know, this.
And I brought this point up before, but when you look at the Crossmen, when they came out with their air bow, was banned because, and one of the arguments, and there was multiple, but one of the arguments was because of the speed at which it throws out its bolt. Okay. Well, now we have these crossbows coming to market that are at the same speed that the Crossman was throwing out its bolt at. So that is my fear, is that we're going to see a progression of more rules, more regulation with the new tech, and it's going to completely destroy the industry. And not completely destroy, but it's going to halt innovation within the industry. Yeah. And we're going to go backwards and become more stagnant.
And they're saying, though, that hunters are asking for this. And this is my point. So you have hunters calling New Jersey State and Game, telling them they need to do something about this 2 crossbow bolt machine. No one says I can't carry 2 crossbows out there. I could just have 2 crossbows, one on the ground and one in my hand. Like, I mean, it's just stupid.
If I have 2 tags, who cares? If I have 1 tag but only need 1 shot,
there's so many reasons it makes no sense to regulate that. And all I'm saying is, look, they're doing it because that's what they're trying to do, is destroy what we have. Otherwise, they would just leave it alone and let a couple years go by and see what happens, right?
Well, I think that's the problem, though. And I'm gonna, Lundy, you started it. You started talking about politics, so I'm blaming this whole thing on you. You said we're not going back after this, but we're not stopping.
We've already been fired up on these couple times.
I think the problem is, and is that we, our regulators, they're too scared if they don't have data. So their first go-to is no, instead of let's try it and see what happens. Right. I think that's more of the problem, is we don't know. We have no data. We have no way of making a decision on our own and logically thinking about this. So because of that, our first answer is no, and then we'll figure it out. And I think that's the wrong approach. I think you have to have a decision-making process outside of new data and new statistics and how many tags and what's the success ratio of when we sell a tag versus how many are harvested, before you can go down that road of just saying no all the time. So
I think too, Tim, you think about it in the lawmakers and stuff like that, and the resource managers of, the deer herd and stuff like that, they are starting to now, send out surveys and ask our opinions as hunters, right? And we're not experts by any means, right? These people that are in there are supposedly the best for the job, but we all know politics is involved with those decisions, right? So that's where the impasse is. And I think if they would allow us hunters a little bit more input and take our feedback more seriously, I think it might have a more positive effect, because who better to know what's going on in the woods than the guys sitting out there and observing the deer themselves. You know what I mean, Lundy? I mean, it just makes sense to me.
We are the experts, though. That's the thing. Like, we might not be the expert hunter, but when they, when they say, well, why, if I'm going to do a brain surgery or I'm going to do a heart surgery, I don't want the person that's read, who's been in college for 50 years and has read 4,000 books. I'd rather have the guy that did 4,000 procedures. I don't want the person that did the books, and to kind of like clean it up a little bit is, okay, I get it. And every one of us, all 4 of us on here, and I know a lot of people are going to see this podcast. You guys have grown huge over the years, and it's what you guys are doing is awesome. But I try to sum it up like this. I might have certain beliefs. I don't hunt with a crossbow. There's certain beliefs, reasons why I do and don't. I am not going to sit here and say that I'm not gonna. It is going.
Yeah.
And if you want to regulate it, and like you were saying before, Tim, you were saying, like, instead of taking data and stuff like that, you work on it on how many tags. If you've bought the tags and you bought this and someone says, well, how do you, and people ask me all the time, how do you feel about a crossbow? How do you feel about this new air bow now? How do you feel about this? I don't give my opinion because I don't want to them to think that I'm for or against something so much. The bottom line is hunters don't turn around and give these higher ups that are making the decisions for us, don't give them a reason to stop hunting. This is what they want. If we argue little by little, they're going to take chips away.
Yep.
Chips away. And then when we're done, we're not going to have things. Look at Utah. They just, or I think it's Utah. They just got rid of trail cameras.
Yes. Yep.
What are you guys doing? Like,
I forgot about that one.
I get it. Has it got easier to harvest a deer? Okay. I'm kind of on the fence with that. I'm not going to get too much into it. Maybe it's because I'm not that great of a hunter. I'm just blessed with opportunities. But
the sad part is the younger kids that are getting into hunting, right? Everything is around technology now, right? Yep. So trail cameras, all the advancements, that's what's attracting these kids, sometimes to it, right? So if you take away and you go back to, the stick and arrow or, things like this, it's good because, the heritage is there, but at the same time, you have to embrace the technology as it comes forward so that the kids coming up don't think this is an old man's game and it's not something that I'd be interested in. You know what I mean? I really think that's important.
Cars are getting faster. Things are getting faster. Schools it's hard to see things grow. And I'm kind of, a little bit old school mentality that it's hate to see things grow, but we've got to accept a little bit of growth. Okay. Yeah. We have to be happy with it. But if we accept growth within the hunting industry, that means the hunting industry is growing. If we start stopping that, it's going to go. Back in the day, these Indians have got that, man, they could, and the pioneers and everybody else, okay, they were using slingshots and rocks. If you look at it, we've took those things away. You can't go out there and just, if we start it's going to happen. If we keep taking things away, we're going to have nothing. And right now, I wish there was a way, and we're far from that. It's never going to happen. I shouldn't say never, it could, but there should be a way that the experts, and I don't care if you're on TV, not on TV, whatever, the experts, the people in the field, that's the people that we need up there in legislation for us.
Yeah.
We don't need people that are working for insurance companies, and we want to go ahead and up the quota to 5 billion deer, and you can use everything, and you got to look at it. Why are they doing this? Are they trying to knock the population down? And so hunters are getting mixed. Well, are they trying to do away with hunting, or are they trying to do away with this? Like, if it's a hunter and a hunter, let's talk, let's speak together, let's come up with something together to promote and help hunting grow. If it has something to do with it, take away from hunting, that's a red flag. If it's taking away from hunting, let's take a different avenue.
Well, a lot of people argue to have the right messaging. Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
Well, a lot of people argue that some of the arguments I see in the comments are things like they should have their own season. And I reply, that's an option. No one said we can't have that option. That's a great conversation to have, but it has nothing to do with making it illegal because it shoots 2 bolts, right? But what you're saying, totally for that. I'm good with that. We can have that conversation. I don't think it needs to be 2, but hey, I'm open to that. We can have that conversation just like we have a gun one. Yeah, but I also hate when these people want to keep saying like, oh, it's like a gun. I mean, it's not like a gun. That no way, shape, or form is that any speed that those crossbows are going to produce 500, 600, 700 are going to get close to a gun. They're just not. So yeah, it's fast, but it's not that fast compared to like a high power rifle. I mean,
well, it's like I've always come from the standpoint of you have to try it before you knock it. And a lot of people that knock it have never tried hunting with it. And I think you would come to find that it's not that much different of a hunt. And I would argue it's not any different of a hunt when you're hunting a crossbow versus a compound, and the way that you approach it. You might get an extra couple yards out of your shot, but you're not shooting out 100 yards. I mean, people have the argument all the time of they can go 100 yards. Yes, they can, but I don't know a person in their mind who's shooting, and a compound can too. Yeah, right. Then that's my point. I don't know a person in the right mind that's taking an ethical shot at 100 yards on a deer. I just don't. Never seen it.
But factual, Tim, real quick, factual. You and I and our team has actually tested this theory. We actually tested how far can a compound bow shoot in a crossbow shoot at a long distance if you launch it in the air? We actually did this test, and the compound was further. So technically, the compound will go 600 plus yards further than a crossbow bolt because the bolt's smaller. It doesn't.
Yeah, well, and it's the kinetic energy and all that kind of stuff. It starts off with a lot, but the drop off, there's a lot there too. But to me, let's forget about all of that, because I think the broader thing with all of this is the fact that we get away from calling hunting what it is, and that's conservation. At the heart of what we do, it's about conservation. It's not about wiping out deer. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about making sure that we have a healthy population for all generations to come after us, you know? So we get away from that conservation mentality, and then we start infighting with everybody on what we're using and how we're using and all that kind of stuff. When it's not about that. At the heart of what we do, it's conservation, and it's a resource that I like to provide for my family as a food resource for my family, right? So that to me is the conversation that we need to gear ourselves towards.
I agree. And you guys have all, man, I should have never brought up the whole voted popular, but
like I said, it's your fault.
That was like a loaded gun for us.
So much
we've been waiting to talk about it.
I have different views, but like you know, Dave said it best. You got to look at that. Like, okay, are there people? And this is the biggest thing that I've heard about the Crossbows airbow. This is my biggest complaint. Okay, well, during the archery season, not as many big bucks are harvested, this or that. Well, now you have the gun hunters. Now this is a double-edged sword. Look at, now you have the gun hunters hunting because they don't pull back and play. And I will say, you're right. And I'm going to agree to some things I'm not going to. You're right. The gun hunters are. Look at that in a positive way. You just promoted gun hunters to start archery hunting. You promoted more hunters. You might have promoted hunters out there that would never gun hunt before to start paying money that's going to pay for conservation and to do this. Do these people sometimes go out there and go down to the local Walmart? They don't try nothing, and they're going to try to take an unethical shot, and they don't know if they hit it at 70 or 80 yards. And they walk out. Yes, but let's turn back around and have the conversation. You know, people are like, well, there should be a different season. Agree or disagree? Okay, let's handle that at a different level. Yeah. Don't right off the bat start taking something else at the legislative level away from hunting. Don't do that, because it's never going to stop until we have nothing left, and we're sitting here 80, 90 years old, they're still around talking about, hey guys, do you remember when we could go out and harvest a deer? Like, we don't want that.
Now we're back to traditional bows.
Yeah, no doubt.
Let's talk about.
Okay, last word. So here.
No more words of that. Let's move on.
I'm going to leave it right here.
Let's move on.
If we're going to have a fight within the hunting community, then the fight should be the rut season should be an archery season in Michigan. That's it. I'm done.
I agree, Tim.
No, I was going to ask and I want to move on to a couple other subjects real quick, so while we still have time. The show though, so the show, when will the new season air? That's what I was going to ask you.
The new season, they run it 2 ways, which is good. It's, you know, just the new season that's coming out, but it will run right around late summer. The new seasons will start coming out, and then it falls right into early fall, and then they will run it again as the season comes up from fall all the way through the hunting season. So all your new shows for Drurys will start coming out mid to late summer. So
awesome. And those shows, so like what you film this year will be next year's, correct? Just to make sure I understand it right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
So you guys will be filming this year for next year.
Yeah. So everything.
How many people are on your team?
On Critical
for this
Man.
show specifically.
I don't
name them all with their birthdays.
You know, at time to time, like in the beginning, it was just an individual cast, you know, and there's a lot of original cast members that are still on that. But, you know, a lot of times it brings excitement to the show, and it brings like, a newcomer coming in, you know, and like a new twist. But, you know, for the most part, there's some original cast that are in there. But like Greg was with us, you know, but now all of a sudden, you know, he's went up and he's moved his way in. And what I like about Critical Mass, we're all competing. And, you know, I don't want to get in trouble for saying certain things, but we're not competing. We are a group of friends and family that are just, you know, at the end of the year, it's up to you viewers, you know, hey, listen, this is what it is, but we're just trying to showcase our season, you know? So every year, like, I don't think anybody's new came in this year. And when someone new usually comes in, it's, you know, you might get someone from a, you know, like Bo Manus, you know what I'm saying? You got Greg Leslie.
Yep.
Right. He's with Bo Manus, but he's a Drury, you know, a hunter for Drurys. You know what I'm saying? He's just kind of moved his way. So when people see him on Bo Manus, you know, hey, it's Greg from Critical Mass, you know, or whatever the case may be. If it's something from, you know, somebody that's been on Critical Mass, and now you see a hunt from them on, you know, it be the Drury's Natural Born or 13 or whatever the case may be. But usually it's usually right around, you know, 9 or 10, give or take, hunters that are on that cast every year. It does change up from time to time. I mean, they got me stuck right here on Critical Mass. I think it's because I just let it fly. And it's, as far as if they literally told me I had to stick to a certain weapon, I'd probably be submitting a harvest once every 10 years, and that's about it. It just all goes out the window. It's complete basket case in the stand.
I love
Greg
it. Well,
you're promoted from that last buck he got. That monster, dude.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's like 242 or something.
Oh man,
that buck he got. Holy cow!
Absolutely ridiculous. But I will say you are a great ambassador for Drury along with Greg. I mean, after talking to you guys, it's a lot of the same messaging in regards to how you guys feel about being a part of it. Yeah, there's a little bit of competition, but at the end of the day, it's not what it's about. It's about building each other up, you know, learning from each other, teaching each other, and getting people into the industry. And we thank you for that, because, you know, if it wasn't for Drury, if it wasn't for some of the other shows that are out there, if it wasn't for you guys sharing your passion with everybody, people wouldn't be in the industry today that are, you know, and you guys have a lot of credit for that, and we thank you for that.
I appreciate that. You know, I think that's you know, it's just, you know, it's even very humble just to be on the show, because like it's funny, and it comes back again to my son Cole, and it's nothing against my daughters. My daughters, they're the real bosses of the house. I'll tell you that. You know, I mean, they're but like my son, there's sometimes that, you know, we'll be sitting in the blind and, you know, we're hunting, and it's just like, you know, you do get a little bit of stressed, and okay, man, we got to harvest a deer. We got to do it. And I'm not talking like he said it once. It's several times a season. You know, I'll just be sitting there and I might just be filming an encounter of him, this or that, you know, or him drawn back and he don't get an opportunity. He comes down, and I come back and I look at him and I'll shut the camera off, and he's like, hey Dad, like everyone looks at it like, okay, these guys, this is all they do. They hunt for a living. They don't. No, we're not. We're your guys. You know, we are you guys have had the opportunity to show you this is, you're all out there with us. We're all doing it. And my son will always say, Dad, can you believe like we're hunting for Drurys, you know? And it kind of, you have, and it's not just any negative that you had at the time. And for the most part, we try to stay positive, really. It's like, you know, when he always says that, I always think, oh my gosh, I can go back, not even 30, we're talking 30 something years ago now, and watching the cassette tapes and this or that. And it's like, you're right, buddy. We are, you know what I'm saying? So like at the end of the day, I have never, since I've been filming for Drurys, ever walked out of the woods on the most horrible hunt and not smiled, either holding one of my kids' hand or my hand over their back thinking, you know, this is it. So take the camera away from that, and it's the same thing. That's how it should be. Every time you walk out of the woods, you made a memory, whether it's with a new hunter, a friend, or whatever, you know. And my son, this just happened this year. He didn't want it filmed, and we didn't film it. We had a friend of ours that was in school, and a young kid, my son's age, actually, literally right at my son's age. Well, a year or so ago, he was a big guy in the community. He, his dad ended up passing away of cancer, and he hunted with him a little bit, but not much. And we were sitting at one of my daughter's basketball games, and he comes walking up to me. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Sean, you know," he's like, I got my hunting license. And I thought about it, I'm like, oh crap, you know, I did tell this kid, you know. And he's like, can I go? And I'm like, okay. And you always think about, I'm like, I got to find a way. We're going to get this kid outdoors. And last year I hunted with him, but when I took him hunting, it was during coyote season. coyote hunting's not easy. It's bitter cold. It's below zero. I mean, and it's the kid's never going to want to hunt again. So this year he said, and we're like, okay. And he turns around and walks away. I'm like, we got to figure a way. And me and my son both had our Indiana deer. And this is, you know, a little boy, my son now, looking over me, and he taps me in the leg and he goes, hey, Dad, what a perfect opportunity. I'm like, hey, what are you talking about, buddy? He's like, let's say something to his mom. He says, we're taking him in the morning. And my son was supposed to go out. We were supposed to just whack a bunch of does. And I'm telling you what, we brought the film, we went out there, and he's like, hey, what can I shoot? Mr. Sean, what can I shoot? And I said, man, you can kill any deer on the farm. And deer, they don't move the way they do. And first light comes up, and this 1.5-year-old 5-point comes walking out. This kid gets the gun up the window, 123 yards in there, makes a perfect shot. And I stepped back and let my son, still a young hunter, but very mature for what he's been around, and his friend track his deer the whole month. To me right there.
Oh, that's worth everything right there.
That is the hunt. And, you know, that is the most important hunt probably in the last 3 or 4 years for me. And I've harvested a lot of animals with my children. And this is somebody that's not even my kid. And it was to watch my son take another kid. Granted, yeah, I took him, we drove him, this and that. And after that, it was an entire morning event. We went ahead and we took his friend and we went to show his grandpa and went to show. And it's funny because just a couple of nights ago, my wife is friends with this kid's mother. She said, hey, we'd like to have you over for the steak dinner, the deer steaks. And I'm like, that's what it's about, guys, you know? And it's not about filming. It's not about sponsors. It's not about this. It's about the memories. It's about passing it on. And I can promise you right now, this little boy that is not hooked on the outdoors, if he could bring 3-4 hunters in over his next 80-90 years of his life, he's promoting it. That's what we have to do, man. It's not about anything else, you know?
No doubt. And I think next time, and don't take offense to this, but I think we got to get your son on instead, because he sounds like a wise man.
Oh my God, man. Like, you know,
I was thinking the same thing.
I literally have told my wife that, and I've like I don't even bring him around to the meetings or stuff like that because he's a rock star. Like I'm so blessed. He's got the total package. He is so humble. He is so into the hunt. Awesome. He is so, like, when it comes time to it's game time, he's stone cold. When the shot's done, he loses it. Like, if you could picture perfect. And then these kids with these computers nowadays all the time, you stick a camera behind his hand, like 5-6 years from now, you know, and that's what made John Odell's son, Jacob, in my mind, such a little beast in the hunting industry. I mean, the kid has been around it since day one. I mean, you know, if you were ever going on a hunt, you could contact John Odell's son up, and he's going to lay the footage down, and he's going to lay the footage down the right way, the way it needs done. And then on top of that, he gets everything about it, you know, and to watch my son grow up and do the same thing. So you got to keep him in check really every once in a while. And I said that, but he's the one that's in the stand saying, hey, Dad, we're hunting for Drurys. So it's almost like he's keeping us in check, you know?
No doubt. Good. No
that's
doubt.
Good.
All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. And again, next time we'll have you on in a couple months, and maybe we'll have your son join with you. It'd be kind of fun.
Absolutely. That'll be
let him tell those stories and all that. So highly appreciate it. I'll put all the links below, guys, to Lundy stuff and where to find them on Instagram and all the good places. And also look out for the Drurys this year coming up, this show, Critical Mass, and also their other shows. I mean, they're all really good, so I don't think it's going to matter which one you watch. But, of course, you got to watch Sean's. That's the way it's got to be. So we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Thanks, man.